Antisocial personality disorder, not to be confused with asociality or antisocial behavior. Antisocial personality disorder, ASPD or APD, is a personality disorder characterized by a limited capacity for empathy and a long-term pattern of disregard or violation of the rights of others. Other notable symptoms include impulsivity and reckless behavior, including substance abuse, a lack of remorse when their actions have harmed others, deceitfulness, irresponsibility, and aggressive behavior. I'm going to be eating some black licorice. That's really good, especially because I haven't eaten dinner yet tonight. I just got off work, so symptoms of ASPD must be present before the age of 15 to receive a diagnosis. Antisocial behaviors often have their onset before the age of 8, and nearly 80% of ASPD cases in nearly 80% of ASPD cases, the subject will develop their first symptoms by age 11. The prevalence of ASPD peaks in people aged 24 to 44 years old and often decreases in people aged 45 to 64 years. In the United States, the rate of antisocial personality disorder in the general population is estimated between 1% and 4%. Personality disorders are a common class, are a class of mental disorders characterized by enduring and inflexible maladaptive patterns of behavior, cognition, and inner experience exhibited across many contexts and deviating from those accepted by any culture. These patterns develop by early adulthood and are associated with significant distress or impairment. Criteria for diagnosing personality disorders are listed in the 5th chapter of the International Classification of Diseases (ICD) and the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders (DSM). Licorice is so good. Sorry to repeat that, but Asocial personality disorder, TBD, is another term for the same general disorder. Sorry for cracking my foot there. Used in the International Statistical Classification of Diseases and Related Health Problems, ICD. Both have been referred to as psychopathy or sociopathy. However, some researchers have drawn distinctions between the concepts of antisocial personality disorder and psychopathy, with many arguing that psychopathy overlaps with but is indistinguishable from ASPD. Asocial versus ASPD. Oftentimes, there can be confusion about what ASPD is compared to being asocial. ASPD is characterized as a disorder and having a disregard for other people, whereas individuals who are characterized as being asocial tend to to lack interest in social engagement, possibly due to their personality trait of being introverted. Asocial individuals tend to prefer being out of social groups or prefer smaller groups of people to interact with. However, being asocial is not a personality disorder and tends to be more voluntary than aspd. Symptoms and behaviors. Addiction. ASPD is one of the personality disorders most likely to be associated with addiction. This is due to tendencies in ASPD towards impulsive and reckless decision making, which increases the risk of developing a substance use disorder. Pre-pulse inhibition deficiencies, misuse of oral administrations, drug overdoses, blood-borne diseases, shorter periods of abstinence, drug use at earlier ages, aggressive behavior, impulsivity, frequent illegal drug use, drug injections, and difficult interpersonal relationships. Substance abuse problems are far more common amongst people with ASPD who live in rural environments rather than urban ones. Gender differences between men and women have also been observed in regard to substance abuse. This suggested that men who abuse substances are far more likely to have ASPD than women who are more likely to have a mood disorder. Between substance abuse and ASPD can be affected by other personality disorders. For example, one of the previously mentioned studies found that 27.6% of participants who had ASPD and alcohol abuse had more than one personality disorder: heroin, methamphetamine, opioids, alcohol, nicotine, cannabis, polydrugs, cocaine, and crack cocaine are some prevalent drugs used by people with ASPD. Alongside substance abuse, patients with ASPD are more likely to develop a gambling addiction. Impulsivity. Antisocial personality disorder has been associated with high levels of impulsivity, suicidality, and irresponsible behavior, usually resulting in heightened levels of aggressive behavior, domestic violence, illegal drug use, pervasive anger, and violent crimes. The behavior usually has negative effects on their education, relationships, or job. Alongside this, risky sexual behavior, such as having multiple sexual partners, seeing prostitutes, inconsistently using condoms, trading sex for drugs, and frequent unprotected sex is also common. Their impulsive behavior will usually jeopardize their own safety and the safety of others. Emotions. The violent and impulsive behavior present in ASPD has been correlated with chronic boredom. Other studies have found that people with ASPD tend to describe emotions with ambivalence and experience emotions such as happiness and fear less clearly than others. They may also experience emotions such as anger and frustration more frequently and clearly than other emotions. People with ASPD can have difficulty mentalizing or understanding the mental state of others. They may display a perfectly intact theory of mind or the ability to attribute a mental state to oneself and others, but an impaired ability to understand how another individual may be affected by an aggressive action. These factors possibly contribute to their aggressive and criminal behavior, as well as their empathy deficits. Despite this, they may adopt a social cognition, or the ability to process and store information about other people, which can contribute to an increased ability to manipulate others. Criminality. People with ASPD tend to experience more convictions, more time in jail, and are more likely to be charged with almost any crime. However, assault and other violent crimes are the most common charges. This disorder is also prominent among prisoner populations. Alongside their conduct problems, many people with ASPD had conduct disorder in youth, a disorder characterized by a pervasive pattern of violent, criminal, defiant, and antisocial behavior, arson, and the destructions of others' property is also a behavior commonly associated with ASPD and impulsivity. Fire starters with ASPD tend to have a history of robbery, harassment, threatening, blackmail, and difficulty fulfilling promises, limited empathy or remorse. People with ASPD may experience a limited capacity for empathy and can be more interested in benefiting themselves regardless of the expense it has on others. They may have no regards for moral, social norms, and the rights of others. People with antisocial personality disorder may have difficulties in sustaining and maintaining relationships, and some have difficulty entering them. Interpersonal relationships often revolve around the exploitation and abuse of others. People with ASPD may display arrogance, think lowly and negatively of others, and may have limited remorse for their harmful actions, and may have a callous attitude towards those they have harmed. Individuals with this personality disorder will typically have limited compunction in exploiting others in harmful ways for their own gain or pleasure, and frequently manipulate and deceive other people, while some do so through a facade of superficial charm. Others do so through intimidation and violence. It is possible that people with ASPD may have intact cognitive empathy, but with a deficient theory of mind. Studies have found that people with ASPD have difficulty understanding others' emotions and mental states. It may be possible that people with ASPD do not lack empathy but are less inclined to use it. Comorbidity. ASP commonly coexists with the following conditions: anxiety disorders, depressive disorder, impulse control disorders, substance-related disorder, somatization disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, sadistic personality disorder. When combined with alcoholism, people may show frontal function deficits on neuropsychological tests greater than those associated with each condition. Alcohol use disorder is likely caused by a lack of impulse and behavioral control exhibited by antisocial personality disorder patients. The rates of ASPD tends to register around 40 to 50% in male alcohol and opiate addicts. However, it is important to remember that this is not causal relationship, but rather a plausible consequence of cognitive deficits as a result of ASPD. Disregard for safety and lack of responsibility. An individual with the diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder tends to cause intentional harm to humans or animals. Therefore, they are willingly and consciously aware of their performed actions with no remorse or concern about possible outcomes associated with how victims are mistreated, which shows recklessness. In contrast, an individual who harms a victim with negligence is doing so because they may be unaware of the risk they are taking and do not understand what consequences will be followed when performing harmful actions. Similarly, individuals with a diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder may deliberately show irresponsibility because they tend to place blame on others when they have have difficulty internally acknowledging their faults and instead show an outward expression that redirects the attention of their mistreatment onto someone or something else. Knowing this information about individuals with antisocial personality disorder is not intended to place blame or create excuses for behavior, but simply helps understand the mindset that individuals with antisocial personality disorder are in. Because environmental factors are believed to be one of the main causes of antisocial personality disorder, it's important to note those who have ASPD may have lacked positive influence, or example, in behaving responsibly, may not see much personal gain in behaving in a way that's socially acceptable, or may have little toleration for the reactions or negative emotions associated with those who shed light on their actions. When there is a stigma associated with an individual with ASPD, the environmental effects of this may cause symptoms or behavior in individuals with ASPD to worsen. Causes personality disorders are usually caused by a combination and interaction of genetic and environmental influences. Genetically, it is the intrinsic temperamental tendencies as determined by their genetically influenced physiology, and environmentally, it is the social and cultural experiences of a person in childhood and adolescence, encompassing their family dynamics, peer influences, and social values. Last piece of liquorice. People with an antisocial or alcoholic parent are considered to be at higher risk. Fire setting and cruelty to animals during childhood are also linked to the development of antisocial personality. The condition is more common in males than females and among incarcerated populations. Although the causes listed correlate to the risk of developing ASPD, it's imperative to note that merely one factor is unlikely to be the only cause associated with ASPD, and relating to the listed cause does not necessarily mean that a person should identify themselves with having ASPD. Genetic research into genetic associations in antisocial personality disorder suggests that ASPD has some or even a strong genetic basis. Prevalence of ASPD is higher in people related to someone with the disorder. Twin studies, which are designed to discern between genetic and environmental effects, have reported significant genetic influences on antisocial behavior and conduct disorder. In this specific genes that may be involved. One gene that has seen particular interest in its correlation with antisocial personality disorder is the gene that encodes for monoamine oxidase A, an enzyme that breaks down monoamine transmitters such as serotonin and norepinephrine. Various studies examining the gene's relationship to behavior have suggested that variants of the gene that results in less maoa being produced, such as the 2R and 3R alleles of the promoter region, have associations with aggressive behavior in men. The association is also influenced by negative experience in early life, with children possessing a low activity variant MAOA-L who experience such such maltreatment, being more likely to develop antisocial personality disorder than those with the high activity variant MAOA-H. Even when environmental interactions,